Alright guys, welcome back. So, we're gonna finish the watercolor today. And from what I remember, we finished off with the dark green. And if I remember right, we were gonna go to a gradient. So to do a gradient, you gotta take a step that's lighter than the dark green. So let's test this color out. We're using the watercolor pen still. Let's see, where's a good place to test this one? Right there. Oh yeah, that'll work. See how it's not super light, but it's definitely lighter than that dark green. So that'll work perfectly. And we'll just kind of bring this in here. So much space that it's going to be a little tricky to work with. I'm still going to leave a little bit of space so that we can add more colors for the gradient. But see how I'm still keeping pretty close. Actually, you know what? We'll cover that one too. If it's going to be like a big space like this, then I'll leave some space for a little bit more. We might even leave a little bit of, we might even save that space for this evil color. So we'll just work on filling this in a bit over here. This is a very tedious process. It can be fun though, especially when you start working with the actual water. Right now I'm just using the ink that's in the pen. So, I hope I didn't get a full file on those other spots, but yeah, right now I'm just using the ink that's inside the pen and whatnot. And we'll go through this with water later. And I'll show you guys how to do that. Or at least how I do it. Okay. I'm going to stay inside. I'm not going to go past all this dark over here, because that's getting more into the border, and we just want to stick with the shapes that we're working on right now, which is the spirals. So for a gradient, you don't want to take up all of the space with each color. So here in a second, after I get these bigger ones here done, like I'll probably do that one and maybe this one over here. But then for like the little parts right over here, we'll probably go another shade lighter. What's lighter than light green? Well, you can either use yellow, or you can, just a second, you can either use yellow or, believe it or not, a lighter green than this. And anybody who knows the color spectrum knows that there is an infinite amount of colors. And I just think that is so crazy. Like, there's more, kids always learn the basic, you know, rainbow or whatnot, but the thing that's so cool is the spectrum is so enormous that they're still naming colors. That's just crazy. I mean, can you imagine that? That since people first started studying colors and what they can do with them and whatnot, they still haven't named all of the colors. And that's just insane. insane to me. Like, it just shows how infinite the colors are. Getting out of scale here. I worked on making sure I can keep the picture in frame this time. I know it was kind of all over the place before. I'm gonna get better. But anyway, yeah, they're still naming colors, and there's actually a website you can go to name your own color if you wanted. Isn't that cool? I think I named one, but I can't remember what it was. I think I just picked a random color and went based off of that. But yeah, I can't remember the name of the website right now. But I could leave a link in the description if anybody's interested. I think it's pretty cool. And it's legal too. Like, once you put it into this, it's like official. That color is named whatever you want. There is like a kind of like a poll though. Like, you suggest a name for that color, and there will be people that vote on it, and if yours wins, then you will have officially named a color, and that is just so cool. At least that's my thoughts on it. I mean, it's not a way to get like super famous or anything, but it's just cool to know that you've left a mark on, the world. You're not winning a Nobel Prize or anything, but you're still making a difference, at least in a smaller way, which is still pretty cool. You can officially say, I named a color. And you can name it pretty much whatever you want to. Like, it can be completely unrelated. You can say, like, something like barf green or something, and I mean, yeah, there's a barf green or something like that, maybe barf yellow. But then you can also be like, Dad, or Kevin, or something, But, it's, like I said, it's also part of the poll. If people don't like it, then, well, just pick another color, I guess. Keep on trying. It might not work out always, but, it'll work out sometimes, and that's pretty cool. It's kind of going, I don't know, I guess it's about the same with the screen. But I'm trying not to make it too overwhelming with the green, because we also want it to be, you can see how I made it kind of like a little point, so it looks like this color here is infecting. So, that doesn't matter. It doesn't matter if it's super smooth either, because we're going to come along with the water and smooth it all out. So it'll look a lot nicer than all this scribbly looking stuff. Okay, I think that's going to do it for that green. So, let me see what other colors I've got. Yeah, see? I've got these colors here. So these ones would probably be okay, because this is the one that we've been using so far. And this one's a little bit lighter. But the thing you gotta be careful with pens and stuff is, this might look lighter, but that doesn't mean it's going to be lighter on paper. So, I'll have to test that out real quick. Let's see. So I'm using the lighter one now. Oh, lighter. Let's do it up in this corner, because we can, the cool thing about watercolor is that if you get all the water on here, and if you say you do a little swatch, sorry, can't talk. You do a little swatch right here of color, and you decide, I don't really like that color. Putting the water on it and blending it can actually make that most of that color disappear if you do it right. So I think that's really cool about watercolor. So we're just going to do a little bit right in there. And see, look, that's a bit lighter. If anything, it's at least, you know, a little bit, let's round that out a bit. If anything, it'll just give a little bit of a different hue, which is cool. So I'm going to apply this down here, because we've got some green down here that isn't in contact with the darker green, which is how you get that gradient, is you go from like the dark to the medium, and then the medium to the light, which is also pretty cool. I'm going to add a little bit in here. And another thing we can do is we could add a little bit of yellow to this too, and see what happens, because, I mean, I've never tried that before, personally. I'm still tinkering with these myself, to be honest, but there's a lot you can do with stuff like this. And people are still discovering new stuff every day. So I don't know how well watercolors mix together, but we can try that if you guys think that's a good idea. You know what? I think this green might actually be just what we needed. So see how I'm kind of doing the same thing I was doing with the darker green over here? I'm just kind of filling in all these little circles. Spiral. I swear I did that in the other video too. Look at all this circle. Yeah. This is always a longer process. Okay, so what we're going to do is I'm going to get the color on this, on the good side, and watercolor it. And then we're going to let it dry for a bit so that the colors don't clash. And then we can make the watercolor blend a little bit, and like where it's going to be a little bit of a mashup between like the bad colors and then the good colors. There's going to be that one little division there, or even up in here. And we're going to do the good and then the bad, and then we can do a little bit of blending after the bad's dried. You see what I'm saying? And we can do all of that later. Right now, I want to get at least this side done first. One side at a time. Another really important thing with this, I may or may not have said in the previous video, is a lot of people think that to do art and whatnot, you just need inspiration, you know? And well, yeah, that's true. I mean, I certainly find inspiration, and it kind of gets me motivated to want to do art. Because I know depression and whatnot can make things really hard when it comes to trying to be creative and do artwork. But the important thing to remember is art is also very emotional. So, yeah, if you find inspiration in doing something, like fan art, for instance, that alone is very inspiring. You're inspired to make that fan art because of a show or a movie or a video, anything really. Inspired by that subject. But another thing to remember is, and it's probably been heard a bunch of times, is that art is a great emotional outlet as well. And I think a lot of people, it's really hard getting motivated when, you're depressed or struggling, either financially or emotionally or physically. Like, if you're sick, you don't really want to do anything, really, most of the time. I'm not saying everybody is the same, but personally, if I'm sick or I'm not feeling good, I don't want to get out of bed. But if you're struggling emotionally, one, go talk to somebody. Talk to someone. There's no better cure than support from your loved ones. I can tell you that from experience. But art's also really helped me get out of some really bad funks. Oh no. Hold on. We're facing some difficulties here. The ink may not be running out here. I've got some kick left still. But having art, and any medium too, it doesn't have to be just painting or drawing. It's important to go on what you feel, like what you feel like you want to do. Do you want to just scribble to get some rage out? I've taken a large sheet of poster paper and a pen, and I've just scribbled all over the page, different directions, different veracity, veracity, is that right? Different, with different amounts of force. I think veracity is the right word. But you just take the different amounts of force, and it really helps. It lets you kind of rage out of paper. I mean, scribble it so hard that if you can scribble it so hard that you rip a hole in it. It's just paper, guys. If you feel like you have to, do it. I highly encourage it. It is so much more relaxing, and it helps de-stress, which is something so many people struggle so hard with. Okay, being sidetracked. You know what? I think we can ink this side. We can ink this side, and then we can do the water. The water actually doesn't take as long as you might think. But it is a delicate process, especially if you want to get the colors to blend and not just all run together and make one just blob of water. So I think we're going to do the color for the bad side first. And I'm thinking we go with red because that makes the most sense to me. So let's go with red. And I don't want to make it, I don't want it to have pink. I don't want it to have purple. Those are kind of neutral colors. Pink kind of gives off that, I think on Valentine's Day. Valentine's Day, it's pink, it's red, it's love and whatnot. But we're not trying to make this love. We're trying to make this evil. We're trying to make this bad. So red makes sense. I know. I mean like blood. Your eyes go red when you're angry or something. But another thing I think of when I think of evil is I think of fire. We've kind of got like a plant thing going on here, so like growth and whatnot. So something that kind of makes me think of evil is fire. It's going to eat all the plants up. So to get fire, I mean, yeah, it's typically, you know, it's not usually red, but there's some red in there. But what we go to is orange. So I'm thinking we go to red, from red to orange. So let's set the orange aside for now, and we'll get to red. Start with red. Now this is where it's going to get tricky, because I got to remember if the darker color is at the end of the fire, at the base of the fire. I'm thinking at the end of the fire, because it's the base that burns the hottest, right? If you think of a campfire, you don't roast your marshmallow at the very top of the flames. Like if this is the flame, you don't roast it at the very top. You roast it like right in here. This is where it starts catching on fire and gets burned and toasted. And I mean, I don't like it when it's burnt. I like it golden brown, so I'll leave it kind of in the middle. But if you like it burnt, you put it at the base, right? So, and usually it's like white at the base or something, or like a bright yellowish orange or whatever fire you're burning. So hot also, yeah, heat is usually based on like white. Like white is super hot. So we're going to have the darker color up here. Then we'll have the orange and maybe yellow. Yellow might be a good idea. I don't know if I have any yellow. But I've got a very light orange, so we'll go to that. So let's start with red. So, something we also got to remember is if we're doing fire, all these little ones that are just kind of floating mid-air could be considered like embers. And embers also have some light stuff. So what I'm thinking is maybe for the fire, we start at the tips of the spirals. So not just the dark green all the way down to light green, but like red to orange to yellow, red to orange to yellow, you know, going all the way through. So this is going to take a little bit of time, but we can do it. So a little bit of red first. It's going to be really hard to do with the little ones because there's not a lot of space. So, red first. Red first. It's going to be interesting because this is all kind of these are itty bitty little things. So we're going to be very careful about this. Oh my goodness. They're going to turn into little blobs, I know it. Just know it. So big things are going to be cool. So, yeah. Get creative here. That would work. Yeah, this is going to be a little tricky. There's so many. Oh, I can't see like. Hope you still can see it okay. Let's put on here the other ones. Quick. We are on our way. Oof. This is going to take some time, guys. And gals. Guys and gals. Or both. Whatever. No. You do. You do you. It is no biggie. Hope you guys can hear me okay. I don't think my mic is working. But hopefully it is. This looks like if your finger was bloody and you kind of went like that, you know, you got that spiral and like your fingernail got broken or something. And she's like, oh no. Of course, that would probably hurt if you balled your fist up. Ouch. Okay. I know I keep saying okay, like we're done, but you know, this is gonna take a while. We're getting all these teeny tiny little spirals, and we haven't even done orange yet. Oh, Lord. Oh my goodness. This is one of those deeper spirals. This is gonna be longer to do. Trying to figure out how far to go with this. A little bit farther red. Remember, it doesn't have to be perfect, because we're going to smooth it over with the water. This is a good experiment, though, because I don't know how this kind of gradient's going to work on these. I imagine doing this on Photoshop and doing each of these spirals just gradient. Okay, tricky. Okay. This is great. Yeah, if you decide to do this, prepare to be sitting for a while. And you know what? Don't rush yourself if you're trying to do something else. Like it's fine. You know, some people who used to say, I can fill an entire notebook in like 2 months, or even less than that sometimes. And I'm like, well, quality over quantity. It doesn't matter how much artwork you make, so long as you put effort into it and compassion and passion. Like, if you are passionate about what you are making, take all the time you need. Or if you want to just do a quick sketch, that's fine too. And this also goes for if you spend 3 hours on something, but only 2 hours on something else, and you love the thing, or if you spend 3 hours on something and only like an hour on something else, and you like the hour one better, that is your choice. Like, you don't have to spend 5 hours or even days working on the same thing. You can put however much time you feel it needs for your artwork to be done. There is no reason that you can't enjoy your time making stuff. And if you don't enjoy it, that's back to the whole emotion thing. It's okay to not enjoy your art. It's okay to make something showing how angry you are, only to rip it up. You don't have to make something that's going to be around forever. It's just like if you decided to sell your artwork. I know there's some artwork that I've sold that part of me misses because I worked so hard on that. But then part of me also, part of you has to start reminding yourself that, you know what, that person likes it too. That's why they bought it. It's okay to let things go. So don't be afraid to rip something up if you don't want it anymore. But also remember that, you know, somebody might like it. But don't hold people's opinions in too high of a regard. Because if you pay too much attention to what people think of your artwork, that's just going to make any depression you may have worse. I think I have terrible art, personally. But I think that's something a lot of artists struggle with, is their self-criticism. I know my husband does the same thing. He talks about how his artwork is bad, or he doesn't like the work he does, or he just doesn't. He also has pride in his work too, though, which is odd. There's some artwork where he's just like, yes, this is the best thing in the world, and nobody can tell me otherwise, and I'm glad for that. I'm glad he has that confidence in some of his artwork. But then there's other times, which is times that I struggle with too, where it seems like nothing we do is good, or good enough. And it saps at your energy. And that's something that people need help with. I don't want to see people quitting something they like because they don't think they're good enough. I mean, so many people struggle with it. And I've probably definitely talked about this stuff in the other video, but it's just very important. and I don't think enough people talk about it. So if any of you are struggling, or either can't find the motivation to do your art, or you just can't find that confidence, know that I have confidence in your abilities. Even if I don't know you, know that somebody does care. Could be miles away from you, could be right next door. Somebody does care, even with all the crazy stuff happening in the world right now. You are not alone in this. Nobody's alone in this. And I just really hope that people know that. Because I don't think enough people do know. And spread the word, too. Spread the word. If you know somebody who's struggling so hard right now, help them. If they can't get off the couch or out of bed even, and they just don't want to do anything, or you know they have amazing artwork and they just can't get up to do it, be that inspiration for them. Be that person to say, hey, it's okay. Motivate them with your own art, or if you don't think you can do art, motivate them with your struggles. I'm not saying put yourself on the line and hurt yourself while you're trying to help them, but let people know that, you struggle too, and you can make it through together. Help others. And any little bit counts. If it's just a friendly, hi, how's it going? How are you doing today? Are you doing okay? I'm just checking in. That's okay. You don't have to spend $1 billion to help someone. Anyway, we got most of the red. I'm not sure how it's going to look, but, we're just going to play it by ear. I just kind of did the tips. I'm not sure how we're going to do the blending and stuff yet, but we'll figure it out. I think we're going to do orange next. Okay. So I got orange. Sorry for my monologue, but it's very important. I don't need that. Okay. I got orange. Whoa. Now we're going to do one step underneath the red, but make sure you leave a little bit of room at the end for the yellow. So, like I said, I don't know how this is going to turn out, but we're gonna experiment together with this. Ooh, I almost did all of that one there. Like I said, I really don't know what's going to happen here. I think most of this stem is going to be yellow, because then it can connect to all of those. And then it's going to go to orange. Yeah? Yeah. Huh. No, I didn't think about the space. Maybe yellow? Because it's kind of like creeping in. I don't know. I'll try it. We'll see how it goes. See, you don't even have to have a plan when you're doing art. You can just wing it. You know, it doesn't have to have a plan. I think we're gonna try after this is done. I think in the next video we're gonna try something a little different. Something that's not watercolor. Spirals everywhere. Yeah, no, I put them there. Especially these little ones. I think I put too many of these around. No, I'm probably just being a baby. I don't want to color the little ones. It's too bad. Do it. You put them there. Oh. Let's see. We don't do anything different. Okay. Well, we got that little section done. Got a lot more there to do. Look at this baby. Okay, next. Keep going with some of the other ones first. There's so many of them. I want to get some of them done. I hope you can hear me. Should I talk louder? Hello? Hello? Should I be louder? I'm doing this at night, so I don't want to be too loud. I don't want them to hear me talking like a crazy person. I've never done videos before, so this is my first time. But, you know, I think we're gonna have fun. At least I hope you have fun. I'm gonna try and get some music here, but because music is a great source of inspiration. So everybody knows that. It could also just be mood music. I mean, like, it's always good to have, like, background noise and stuff. I'm watching a movie right now. So it's always good to have some background noise. It kind of, I don't know, it kind of gives you kind of like an anchor. Like when you get in the artistic zone, I guess you could call it, sometimes you lose track of time. And a movie or music, no, not necessarily music, because I mean I can listen to an entire album and let it go to the next thing on my computer, and I just still lose track of time. But like but yeah, no, I don't want it to go what was I saying? Oh my god, I'm such a space cadet. But I go with movies usually because I can zone out on my art, maybe half pay attention to the movie, and zone back in when the movie is over, and I'll be like, oh wow, I didn't even notice it was done. Huh. I'm just going to color in these little bits here, because there's no point in those being yellow. We'll have all that other stuff being yellow, so there's no point to it. But yeah, I'll zone back into the movie, and then I'll be able to remember, oh yeah, time is a thing. Oh hey, it's 3 in the morning. And you might not want that, especially if you're working a job. So, I think a movie is a good thing to put on because of that. So, that is my recommendation, is put a movie on when you go to start doing artwork. Because it makes a big difference. With motivation and with background noise. What's the point of having background noise if you're not going to pay attention to it? Well, that's a different matter. You can pay attention to it. Like, sometimes I'll stop and watch a movie while I'm doing artwork. Or you can not. It's not really mandatory. I just think it's helpful. Sometimes if you're in a slump, you can draw inspiration. Back to the whole fan art thing. Put on YouTube, or put on, your favorite TV show, or I personally recommend something you've watched before. This is also because that's all I ever watch. It was the same flipping things over and over and over and over and over again. But if you're watching the same thing while you're drawing, it also becomes less distracting from what you are drawing. Because if you're sitting there focusing on your artwork and then you're watching something brand new, you're going to look up more because you haven't seen that before. So that's why I think it's important to pick something you haven't watched. Another tip, you might want to have something to cover your hands. You might get ink on you. But it washes off, it's fine. It washes off. Oh, cramp. Don't mind my random noise. Getting there. Like I said, this is going to be the very time-consuming part. Because you're having to get all the color exactly how you want it. And it's just a pain in the keister. A pain in the tuchus. And like I said, I might not be using these right. But back to that whole thing where do it how you want. Rip paper up. Use ink wrong. Might drive some people crazy. Might drive me crazy. But that's your own thing. You do you. Everybody has their own way of doing things. There's no one art style. And you know what? I believe everybody can draw. I believe anybody can do any kind of art. I believe anybody can do art in general. Some people say, oh, I'm not very artistic, and I'm like, well, you know what? Draw me something. And they'll draw something, and they'll be like, see, look, not artistic. And it'll just be like a plain stick figure or something, and I'll be like, oh, that's actually really good. They're like, what? It's just a stick figure. And I'll be like, no, that's your style. Because even if you don't think you can draw, you still have your own style. And your style, maybe it's just scribbling. Maybe that's all you can do, but that's fine. That is your style. Only do stick figures? Cool. Make a story. Stick figures are great for storyboards and stuff. Because you can just get the base plot down, get the base gestures down, which is really cool. It doesn't take a lot to create something. Something I learned in college was that line work and shapes are a basis for anything. Like even here, we're working on line work here. Well, I mean, we already worked on line work in the last video, but like before color comes the lines and the sketches and the rough draft. Oh, here's that divide we were talking about earlier. See the contrasting orange and green. That looks pretty good, actually. Okay. Swap that orange right here. Oh my gosh. It's taking a while, isn't it, guys? Ooh. Okay. I think we are done with the orange. At least the dark orange. Oh, no. It's important to stretch, too. During. I'm going to stand up real quick. Oh. Otherwise, you're going to really hurt your legs. I'm on my knees right now. Oh. Alright. Yellow. Okay, that is still orange, but we're working on it. Oh. Okay. Here's the orange we were working with. There's the yellow. Fish orange. Not too much lighter. But I personally do not have anything else that would work for this. Plus we went to pink, but we said no pink. So no pink. We're going to go to this like yellow-orange. I wonder if they have a different creative name like off that website. Okay, let's test it. Okay, not too bad. Different. That'll work this time. So, it's still very bold. So what I think I'm going to do, because we've still got a lot of space here, is I'm going to do light strokes. And this will automatically make it lighter from what's over here, because there's less ink. So I'm just going to do that for the in-between spaces. And don't worry, all the little lines are going to be gone when we do the actual water process. So, yeah, see, that's not bad. There's that divide again. No, I didn't think about that piece of space over in here. Oh well, it's the fire. The fire that's invading over here. That's what we gotta worry about with the fumes. So, like I said, I'm kind of just winging it with the colors. So you can do it however you want. Let me know what you guys think, by the way, in the description. Or not in the description. Let me know what you guys think in the comments. If you don't like it, cool, whatever. If you have questions, let me know. I am more than willing to talk. Just know, guys, remember, this is all we're doing. Oh. Oh, sorry, I'm being quiet. This is just taking a while. Sorry, I'm turning this way. That's another thing about doing stuff like this. Angling. Well, yes, this might not look the best for the camera. It makes it so much easier to do. I know, get some green and orange. I'm just going to do a quick little scribble. Alright. Now, okay, so art process. This is going to look interesting. You see the contrast though? Like with how we did the red versus how we did the green. Very different. Oops, got a little bit on the bed. That's another thing. Find a cozy place to do this. Because like I said before, you're on my bed. But you don't have to. I usually prefer to go with my back against the wall or something and my knees up. But that really makes your butt hurt after a while. So it's really whatever makes you comfortable. Oh, okay. It kind of looks like fire's winning, guys. Alright. You ready? Because it's time. It is time to do this. It is time for the see what's up. Okay. So, I've already pre-filled my water. And guess what? It's a pen! This pen came with my watercolor set. It is a twist off. I'm not going to do it because it's very full of water. But you twist the top off and you fill it with any water. I just fill it with tap. And there's a pressure part right here. I don't know if you can see that. It's kind of square here. And that part is a little bit more squeezable. And that's how you can make more water come out. So like I said, we're going to do one side. And then we'll let it dry depending on how I do it. And then we'll do the other side. So, without further ado, let's get started. Before we get too far. I do want to finish this in this video though. So, we are going to be done with this today. So, what I like to do, I like to start off with the ends, whether it's light or dark. So I'm going to start with the dark, because then we can slowly blend it into the medium color green, and then we can go to the light. So, let's start, I'm thinking right in here, because this is where we got to be very careful, because of the orange, because you don't want to get any orange in there, otherwise it's just going to start blending, and you don't want it to start blending. Sorry if I'm being quiet. Look, see how the color's already popping? And it's already taking a sketchy look out of it. Be very careful here. So that's why I'm going very slow. Okay. I will add and comment that the more water you add, the lighter your color will be. So keep that in mind when you're doing this. We're also doing the divide here too. We don't want to blend it yet. See how it's getting very dark? That means I don't have very much water. Lighten it up a little bit. Okay. You also got to be very careful about it running off. See how it's darker right here? That means all of the water is in that one spot right now. So I'm going to try and spread that around. See? See how it's darker here and lighter there? That's because all the water's right here. And I haven't squeezed in a little while because there's just so much water. A little bit of water goes a long way. So, I'm gonna tilt this so that the water starts to go down that way. But see how the color also goes a bit with it? See? You can watch it. You see that? I just spread out all the water, and now it's not all bunched in one spot. But see how it's pretty dark everywhere? That means it's thin water. I'm not going to say it's dry, because it's not. It's still wet, but it's thin. So I just dripped a little bit of water on it to moisten it up a bit. See how it's not really doing a whole lot over here? It needs water. Water. Okay. moving. Woo! The process, ain't it? So like I said, I'm going to do all the dark parts first, because then see how it's starting to dry over on this side over here? Why I'm doing all the dark parts first? Because I want it to dry. I want it to be dark like that. Because once we start getting into this medium color over here, and we start blending it all together, that's why I'm kind of leaving a little bit of space between the dark, between the colored, or the watered dark, and the lighter green, is because of the fact that we're going to blend this. So after we get all of this outer dark colored or watered, we're going to go back and color. Why do I keep saying color? We're watering the dark that's around the medium green. Be very careful around the edge, by the way, because that will seep off of your page, and you don't want that, because then there's runoff and it just doesn't look good. Okay. So see how we're actually getting, I told you the pen streaks would go away after this. It's going to be a little harder to do it on the edges because, like I said, I don't want it to run off. But that is okay. I'm constantly moving the color back and forth too, because that's where all the water is. And it's starting to get dry everything. Squeeze a little bit. I like to see where my water goes to, because I can put a little bit in the dry spot, and then it kind of slowly merges, which is good. Ooh, I got that really close to the edge. I really hope I didn't just go over. So see how I'm constantly going over. Still trying to leave some space between the dark green and the light green. When you have your canvas like this, it always likes to bunch in different places. See how it's kind of darker in this area? That means that's where it's all pooling. Drives me crazy. But there's not so much you can do about that. It's a constant battle. Okay, well, we're running out of space. Oh no, I got it. Okay. I like being over here. This is away from all the fire stuff. This is a lot easier. See, it's doing it again. You know, that's a really pretty green. Kind of like a forest green almost. Looks really good with these swirls. anybody is interested, I am considering making my rainbow watercolor trees, showing you guys how to do them. So let me know in the comments below. Okay, we got all the outer dark green. Back to that stretching. Remember to stretch. It's still too dark over here for me, so I'm going to add a little bit more water. Spread that green around a bit. This is a good way to get the color to go where you want it. Okay, so I want it to go to the other green. So what I'm going to do, very carefully, go lightly around the edge, but not quite. I'm going to carefully, but not yet connecting it to the middle green. Part. Ooh, I put too much water in. Okay. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to, around the edge, try and get rid of as much of that dark green as possible by slightly squeezing the pen, because I'm going to bring some of the lighter color into it now. And I don't want this completely just green, dark green. So I'm going to put a little bit of the light green here. So this will start to give me the right color that we want. I'm going to slowly bring some green in. You can also keep the color where you want it by adjusting your angling. This is going to be really hard to do because I haven't done this with spiralos before. So we're going to play this one by ear. Oh, I got too much green in there. Be careful not to get. Oh no! The dark green's just overrunning the light green. Well, that didn't go quite how I hoped. Because I got the dark green in the pen again. See, this is why you gotta get rid of the dark green, but now there's too much water everywhere. So we're gonna end up with it on the bed. Well, bring in the rest of this. It's still got a little bit of the color though, which is good. Not as much of the lighter color as I was hoping. Oh, it's fine, it's fine. Most of the green has dried already, so it's not as bad as I thought it was. We're still getting some different color in here, which is cool. It'll look really they'll like they'll do the one color and then they'll come back through with the other color. And that works too. I think that makes beautiful pieces. I'm personally lazy. And I like to do it all at once. So I think it gets a nice blend of colors. But as you've seen, it can also pretty much overwhelm. So that kind of, it's like I said earlier, do it how you want. Do it how you feel is right. And if you feel like how you're doing it is the right way, do it. Yeah, it's totally up to you. Nobody can make that decision for you. Yeah, this isn't going to happen. Oh, well. Yeah, normally I don't do stuff this intricate. I normally do things that are a little bit milder. But hey, you know what? I think we can actually make this work. See, look. We're getting some of the color in that we actually want. I'm trying to keep a lot of the darker color up there so it stops running into the lighter color. That kind of ruins things for us. Oh, look at that! Oh, perfect. A lot of art is also just experimentation. I mean, how do you think new art styles are developed? Experimenting. Go that way, dark. Don't want you down here. No. Go over there. You want the lighter stuff. Really hoping not. Move this too far away. It looks like we're not even halfway out of our water yet. So we're still doing good. I'm hesitant to go over in this area because of all that dark water. Don't want the dark water. We're just now getting the color. I'm digging this color. Really pretty. Very carefully. You can see we've got it all pooled over there. So hopefully it stays there. It doesn't get too far into our light color. See, the pen's absorbing it all. Okay. See. Okay. Now we just kind of move the colors around. I don't like how it's all gone to that one spot. get a nice gradient. Look, see how it goes from dark green to a kind of medium green, slowly to a light green. It also kind of gets like a little definition to the swirl here, which I think looks cool. Okay, well, I think we're gonna pause there. It is still very wet, and we're gonna sit there and let it dry. Okay? I'm not squeezing, I'm pushing the colors around. Just because I don't want this to get all the color in one spot. I kind of like how it's dark around that. That's pretty cool. Okay. Oh, we're gonna take a small break, stretch those legs. We'll be right back. Alright guys, time to finish this up. So, it looks like the coloring gradient actually didn't do so bad. Because it's still all very dark over here, and then it went all the way down to the light. So I think it turned out pretty good. Now, it's time for the evil side. I'm really curious to see how this is going to go. I'm almost tempted to do the light side first, and then go to the dark. Like do the lighter portions here first, and then go to the red. Just because last time it went from a little bit of dark to all the way down to here. So that's what I'm going to do. This time I'm going to go with this. Now try not to get too much of it in the green, because otherwise you're going to have that green going all the way into your orange. I know I said be careful of the edge, but as long as you're not like overflowing it with water, it's fine. It's when you start getting too much water in it that it starts to really affect it. Trying to just get the edges for the most part. So far it's looking really nice. I haven't even gotten that far into it. I'm still being careful around the edges though. It needs water! Okay. I'm going to leave some of the in-between spots that haven't fully gotten white in it yet, or haven't fully gotten color in the white parts yet, because it's a little bit more character, you know? We kind of did that with the greens over there. There's some white spots there. See, oh, see, there's a good example. That's what happens if you get too close to the green. It starts to drain the color from the green. But because we're going more into the oranges, I'm hoping, let's just try and keep it over there, because otherwise it's going to leak. This is why you gotta be very careful. Otherwise, you end up with these colors necessarily want that. Makes for a good border in between. See how that red just popped? Just a little bit more contrast. Too shabby. Yeah. Colors are kind of leaking over there, so let's spread it over. I don't know if we could pump some orange into it. Oh yeah, see look. Because we're tilting it, yes, it's draining some color from over here, but it's also adding a little bit more orange up there, which is where we need it. Okay. So we're going back over to the oranges. This should oh, hit the green there, see it? Hopefully that doesn't affect it too much. You know, I think adding or letting it kind of drip into that green, that gives it a little bit more color, you know? It doesn't look that bad. But see what I mean? How this area had only a little bit of color and it's a lot paler. I'm doing this at like 4 in the morning. It took a while for the green to dry before we came in. Oh, I'm getting a little drowsy. Okay. I think this is looking pretty good so far, actually. We're only touching the lighter parts right now. I'm not even touching the darker. Wait till we start getting to it. That's fun. Because we're going to the lighter side first, it's making it a lot faster for us to because a lot of what we have for the lighter selection, or the lighter selection, I mean, is the majority. Instead of having a lot of the darker colors like the other one, we have a lot of the lighter colors. One of the things I love about watercolor is the color is darker around the edges because like the water stretches the color out a bit. So the middle section is thinner and all the water pulls to one side usually. So all of the darker parts are around the edges because the colors push to the sides. I think that is so cool. What's that green? You see, even just a tiny bit on the edges will just seep color out of an already dry spot. Like, that's dry. See? It's dry. And it's just seeping out of it. Okay, I'm going to start incorporating. I'm not going to put too much new water in. I'm going to slowly incorporate some of the darker color in. And I'm hoping because I'm not adding water, it doesn't drain like it did. And yeah, it's looking a little bit better. I'm just going to go ahead and go from that to the red. Oh, that red just pops against that like light orange. It's really gorgeous, actually. Yeah. You know, it like spreads. I'm not talking much. I'm really focusing on this. This is really turning out cool. That red is really just veining out. It's really awesome. I actually really like that. Doesn't have some of that nice right? Now, incorporating it. talking about this, but this is actually turning out really cool. So, anything we make here on the channel, if it is sold, the money will be going to charity. I might have mentioned this in the last video, but just covering bases. This isn't saying that you guys have to buy it. I mean, if it doesn't get sold, it doesn't get sold. The only person is hurting is, well, nobody really. Yeah, this whatever money is made from any of the things on this channel will be going to charity. Because, as I've stated before, there are a lot of people in need right now. In the comments, you can even tell me which charities are really suffering right now, and I will take a look into it. Because I know there's a lot of people suffering right now. And the more help, the better. Adding that one little drop to the red just makes it go so intimidating. Awesome. I mean, compared to the smoothness of that, it's just like striking. And it kind of gives it a little bit more chaos. Like, it's not like bad chaos, but what I mean is, it's like fire. It does whatever it wants, really. And honestly, that's what fire does. It kind of just does its own thing. As terrifying as that is. I'm loving this. I'm gonna kind of wet down the area around it, because over here you can see that it's not really spidering out because this part over here has dried. So I'm gonna wet this area around it and then slowly into the spider. And then just go. What's that spread? So okay. Here. I like waiting to do the big one. So I'm just gonna do a little bit more in depth. I don't even know if we need to drip it. Just getting it wet makes it do stuff. Now we're getting to the big one. I think this is the last one. Oh, also, while I was waiting for this to dry, I refilled the water. That's why I've got so much still. It just makes things a little easier. It's always good to refill it whenever you can. Okay. I'm going to try and blend it a little bit at least. I'm thinking that I'm going to cover up some of these white pieces in the middle here. And even if the little green seeps in, that's fine. But mix it with you. Just needs a little bit of a conflict or something. It's so hard because there's such conflicting sides to this. Because, I mean, green and orange, well, yes, they kind of complement each other. There's also the problem of there being like one cool color and one hot color. And let's face it, we definitely picked some pretty conflicting things here. But it looks good. It's not the best, but for demonstrating what colors can do, it's not bad. Kind of like, I'm trying to get it to pool there on the edge of the leaf. So it's kind of making this cool black. sometimes you get too much water. I'm just going to dab some of that off. There we go. That's better. Yeah, we just got a little bit too much water on there. But, yeah. So, that's how I use watercolor. If you use it the same, awesome. If you have different techniques, let me know. Share in the comments below. Alright? Thanks for watching.